It's February, it's the mid of winter. If you're in the northern hemisphere, it means it's cold, it's wet, it's rainy, and it's time to play some board games and talk about them.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and that's right. It's time for the best of Board Game Geek. We're going to talk about some geek news. We're going to talk about the hottest games of the month, a couple of personal picks from us. Let's go ahead and get into the news.
All right, so there's a new player initiative going on right now. Signups are going to be ending very soon for RPG Geek. If you're here with Board Game Geek, just let you know, there's also RPG Geek, Video Game Geek. There are all sorts of communities that all kind of generate from Board Game Geek to try to find people to play games with. And one thing that's really cool in the RPG Geek side of stuff and what they're asking for signups for is to actually do an RPG that's sort of a play-by-play situation in the forums of RPG Geek. So you can kind of play almost kind of like asynchronously and stuff and kind of through time. So I think it's a really creative, cool way to approach gaming and something that, you know, you can do from obviously your own desktop at home or however you get down on the geek. And so do check that out. And again, broaden your horizons. Check out RPG Geek, Video Game Geek, in addition to Board Game Geek.
Bit of Board Game Geek news is that Board Game Geek just turned 25. Which is kind of insane, actually, if you think about it. 25 means it was started in 2000. That's before a lot of like staples of the internet, you know? There's tons and tons of stuff that came out way later than Board Game Geek. Board Game Geek has been around for 25 years. Board Game Geek also just had their Hall of Fame. They chose a bunch of different games. We actually chose one of them, which was really, really cool. And had a bunch of different people choose games that should be in the BGG Hall of Fame. There are a whole bunch of videos about that. Make sure to check it out and give BGG a big congratulations. 25 years on the internet is no small feat, and BGG is just really, really cool. And we all use it pretty much every single day. So big, big shout out to Board Game Geek.
All right, so a little bit of Board Game Geek news. It's time to talk about the hottest games now. These are the games that everyone's playing, everybody's talking about, everyone's backing on Kickstarter and the like. Let's go ahead and go to our chairs and talk about it now.
All right, we're back for the hotness, baby. The best part of the video. We're gonna talk about the 10 games that have been all over the hotness all month. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Number 10 is Harmonies.
Ooh, yeah.
This has been in and around the hotness for a while.
It's super hot on BGA, has been for a minute now, but it's just been getting played all over the place.
Plays really well. Harmonies is also, this is a game where you're kind of taking these tokens, drafting these tokens and putting them onto a board that are going to, you know, be representative of trees and mountains and meadows and things like that. And this is a perfect game, I think, that was probably a Christmas present for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah,
because it's accessible, it's beautiful,
yeah,
it's fun, it's cozy, it really has a lot of appeal. And so I'm curious if it's kind of back on the hotness a little bit because like maybe people have gotten some plays over the holidays and in the new year and things like that. But it's just one that you know, I think it's right up there. It's kind of Cascadia as this like, you know, ever playable, kind of beautiful game about nature and animals. And
it's beautiful. Number 9 has been here for a while. We'll continue to be on the top 10 for a minute. And this is gonna be Arcs. It's just very popular still. People probably got it played over the holidays, which is great. Yeah, Arcs is very, very popular. This is kind of a big space game. Got a little bit of kind of trick-taking-esque to it.
Sort of for the action selection.
Kind of for the action selection.
Play, yeah.
It's the new leader games. It's very, very popular. There's a lot of people's like #1 game last year. I mean, halfway through the year, there's a bunch of videos that came out that were just saying like Arcs is the best game of the year and stuff like that. So that has continued. People really, really love this game. And yeah, it's Arcs. It's here. We'll probably talk about it next month as well.
Speaking of games that are perpetually in the hotness, this is Arc Nova.
Yep.
Arc Nova's a game about running a zoo, of course, and
there's that big crazy 3D version now.
There's the big crazy big box with expansion and 3D tiles and things on crowdfunding.
Wildness.
So Arc Nova is kind of getting that
Terraform Mars
superior Terraform Mars treatment. But this is a game that even without that is probably likely to pop up in the hotness because it's just well liked. It's had a solid expansion. You know, it's played a ton on Board Game Arena. Like, it's just around and in people's. Ever since it first came out, it's really just never really let up.
It was 2021.
I think, yeah.
2022 at the latest,
yeah,
right?
At the latest.
So it's like, I mean, it's been this hot that long.
It's quite a while.
It's pretty incredible.
It's one of the more, that along with like the Dune Imperiums and stuff, it was one of the more impressive kind of just runs.
A modern evergreen,
of attention. So again, probably expect to see it next month as well. Probably. But that is Ark Nova.
Number 7 is going to be SETI. This was our personal favorite game of last year.
Love it so much.
This is a great game by CGE where you are searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is what SETI stands for. It's a real thing. It's cool. You are on the Earth and you're putting out probes into space. You're landing those probes on various planets and moons and such. And you're basically scanning the sky, trying to get various evidences of extraterrestrial. There's 3 different kinds of evidence. And once you have one of each kind of evidence, you will then discover that extraterrestrial. And there's 2 in the game. There's 2 in every game, but there's 5 in the whole box.
Yeah, so you don't know which 2 you're going to have.
Yeah, you don't know which 2 you're going to have. And it's always fun, even though we've played with all of them at this point, but it's always fun to be like, I wonder who's there, because you're not supposed to know who it is. And it's just very, very cool. I assume there's going to be expansion for this game at some point. I'm like, just give me more aliens.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an easy thing I feel like.
Give me like 50 more. I want to never know what's coming.
That'd be so awesome. Yeah, it's really fun to have like the midpoint of the game where all of a sudden new pieces go out
some
and new
Maybe.
opportunities. Yeah, it's very, very cool. For us, it's a personal fave, and it's number 7 on the hotness.
Number 6 is going to be Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. This is that big Elder Scrolls game by Chip Theory, which we have actually played. We did over on our channel, we did a all-day live stream of it, and it was super fun. Yeah, I really like this game a lot.
Played through the thing. It is super duper fun.
Yeah.
And it's a big game set in the Elder Scrolls universe and stuff. But it's not one you have to know those video games to enjoy.
Really.
Nick, you played a lot of those games. I have not played any of them.
Yeah, really at all.
And I enjoyed myself just fine. But you were basically creating a character, leveling up that character, developing, skills and different things that are going to, like most Chip Theory games, give you dice to roll and stuff. But this game is really kind of centered around in the combat around a kind of cooldown system with your dice, so that once you use them, it's going to take a couple turns before they come back for you to roll again.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of be wary of, which dice you're rolling at what time, which ones are going to end up unavailable for a while. As you're exploring, these kind of overland maps, and then going into, these kind of confrontations over multiple sessions, or in our case, we played one big long day and played 3 sessions back to back. But it's really cool. Really fun,
I really enjoy it.
Just really massive.
Yeah,
really
there's a lot of stuff in that game. Yeah, and then there's expansion stuff. It's nuts, but it's very, very fun. We haven't played this one quite yet. Number 5 is going to be the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. We played a little bit of it here and there.
Yeah,
but
we haven't played the finished product.
Yeah,
we played it all throughout last year. We played it 2 or 3 different times.
Yeah, kind of seeing it
in various kind of prototype stages, but we haven't played the final.
Not really. Product. Yeah, and we are trying to sit down with a friend of ours and just play through all of it. We want, because that's kind of why we've been putting it off. We just want to sit down and enjoy this game. But this is a kind of crew-like trick-taking game where it's cooperative. You have different missions because you're going through Lord of the Rings, specifically the books. And so you are going through the chapters of Lord of the Rings. You're starting off in Hobbiton. You're going to eventually make it to Rivendell. You're going to go through, Moria and all this kind of stuff. And every single chapter, you're going to have different characters that you can choose from. They're all going to have different things that they need. So like the very, very first one, I guess, spoilers a little bit, is like if you're playing as Pippin, you need to win the least tricks. Yeah. If you're playing as Frodo, you need to end up with the one ring card, right? And so, or you need to end up with the most rings or whatever it is. But
stuff like that.
They all have different stuff you need to do. So it's kind of like that with crew, where it's like, oh, I need the pink 7. And it's really, really fun. And we've seen kind of like snippets of different chapters and stuff, and it just seems so cool the way it evolves.
Yeah, I really hope. I mean, it seems like it's doing well. I'm seeing it in a lot of stores now and getting into people's hands. Because this one is, of course, just the Fellowship of the Ring, just the first book of the 3. So, like,
got to assume they're not going to stop.
I would hope that they would get the other 2 out there. So, that's something that we're personally super excited for. But we're fans of trick-taking games, really big fans of
playing through all 3.
Dude, oh my gosh! While the movies are playing, see if we can do it faster than the movie. It's just, we have dreams. I think it would be so cool. But it's one that we've really enjoyed playing. But again, we haven't played through it yet.
Yeah,
it's one that we're personally hoping to get to really soon.
The next one is going to be Ostia. Ostia, I believe, is an expansion, I believe, is delivering right now. This is also in the couple of the Dice Tower people's top 100, I believe. But this is really, really cool game that we haven't tried, but that I really, really want to. Because it's got the thing that we think is the most underutilized mechanic in all of board games, and that's Mancala.
Yes.
It's got this really cool, like, kind of circular board, and basically, as far as I can tell, you're going to choose, like, one of the areas, and then however many ships are in that area, it's going to produce that many resources, and then you pick up all the ships, and you drop them off Mancala style, and then wherever you end up, you do that action.
Yeah.
And I'm immediately like, that sounds great. I freaking love Mancala.
It's so, I just think it's very interesting, and, like, it's probably not used as much as people think because it's probably difficult, but it's just a really neat idea of like trying to get the pieces kind of pooled up in one area for something or spread out strategically.
Have a big turn, we're gonna drop,
whatever it might be. And then there's games like Five Tribes and stuff, which even break from the circular nature where you can go all sorts of different directions. It's always really cool.
Yeah.
Every Mancala game that has it anywhere in there is something that we are drawn to. It's got cool looking art and stuff. And I think there's an expansion that released recently. And so it's kind of cool to see this pop up now, even though it's, been around for a little bit. It's not old by any means, but it's cool. And it's got me, I remember being interested in it before. Now I'm like, we really got to track this thing down. So we'll see if we can do that.
Next up is going to be Arydia, The Paths We Dare to Tread. This is a big campaign cooperative fantasy game. And they call it a green legacy game. And that means it's basically resettable.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. They specifically say like you can reset it and play it again or just pass it along, which is one thing that's really great with board games in general, but it's generally tough to do with like big legacy or campaign games.
Especially if you're destroying materials or stickering stuff, it's a little tough,
And this one you're not, but you're like exploring, there's different kinds of combat. This is again one of those really big fantasy kind of RPG-y campaign games. There's a bunch of these games, but they're very, very popular. People love these kinds of games.
For sure. I always think like, if you're
and if we had time to play them, we probably would like them more too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to...
We don't dislike them at all.
Those games are never super cheap, but you got to think of like value. It's like those games give you so much content.
Especially if you can reset it.
So many hours of play. So I'm like, they're kind of hard to beat in that regard if they're the kind of games that speak to you. So this one seems like cool. And I appreciate the idea of like resetting the game and then putting it out there. It's like, hey, replay it as much as you like, or just gift it to somebody and hopefully just spread the love of the game, even though that of course won't make them any more money.
No, of course
someone
not,
hands it over. Something in board games I think we see a lot of is people just want to see people playing games,
of course.
however it happens. And it's just like, I think that's the beautiful kind of heart of this hobby.
Well, the Tolkien family have released some of the rights for Lord of the Rings.
Have.
So there's a lot of stuff coming out for Lord of the Rings now, and I'm
is.
honestly all here for it. The next one is going to be the Lord of the Rings. What's the final name?
The Fate of the Fellowship.
The Fate of the Fellowship. That's right. This is a pandemic game. So this is and here's the thing. When they started making like Wrath of the Lich King and the Star Wars Clone Wars one, I was like, someday Lord of the Rings is going to come. And it's here, baby.
It's a pandemic system game, so they're using...
It's by Matt Leacock and Z-Man.
Yep, using some of those, the kind of... If you've played any of the pandemic games, they all kind of come down to... You're each playing different characters. You have a little bit of an ability. You're going to have action points on your turn. You're going to be moving around the map, having to deal with various crises that are coming your way. And this one is going to be set in Middle Earth, one of the most perilous...
Don't care. You don't need to say anything else.
Yeah, you're just the Fellowship.
It's got a big old like cube tower, dice tower, like that looks like Barad-dûr. It looks awesome.
That's the thing that from that image, and we haven't seen a ton of this.
It looks enormous.
I'm like, it looks huge, and then I'm curious about how it functions, because like I don't, if things come out of it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a thing where there's, layers where things get caught sometimes.
That's my assumption. And again,
then so you don't know if there's ever going to be a rush of bad guys.
I purposely haven't looked too much into this because we're going to buy it and play it. My guess is it's the cube tower, and then whatever comes out is what
so it traps some things behind. So,
but it looks really cool.
But it's got a lot of presence, of course, cool looking art. And Lord of the Rings is, as we talked about with the Short game, something we're going to be very interested in.
Always.
The pandemic system is just a rock solid kind of foundation for a board game, and so Matt Leacock can do no wrong in this arena. And what a setting, Middle Earth, man, Mordor going down.
It's that time of year, Mike.
It's a time of year where we have
the new Span game.
It's Finspan is number one, of course.
Honestly, I hope it's every year now in January.
Why not?
Why not us?
Why not? Finspan is the newest in the extended Spaniverse.
Yeah, the extended Spaniverse
of games. So we had Wingspan, of course, first, Wormspan last year, Finspan, which is dealing with fish and kind of diving down in the water. And playing cards out and stuff. And from what we understand, You know, like Wormspan made some changes, some I'd say decent changes.
Yeah, of course.
From
I like Wormspan a lot.
Wingspan. Finspan also gives you some new kind of things with the kind of familiar tableau building of cards. But from what we're led to believe is this is kind of a more streamlined, maybe a little more simple version of like a Wingspan type game, which I think is a really great move.
Yeah, the people we know who have played it have really liked it. They've said it's their favorite one. So I'm really excited to try it again. Like, I really like the original Wingspan. I really like Wormspan. And so, like, Finspan, we're going to get. I want to try it because, like, I don't know. I'm a sucker for a series of games like this. And it's just cool. And it's like, if they keep reiterating on it, making it new enough where it's, you know, worth getting a new one and keep continually making it better and better and better, like, I'm down, why not, right?
I think that's the key, right? It's like if you're making good games, if they're good games, they're good games. So, you know, who cares?
We keep getting Transformers movies. Why not Finspan?
Why not more span games? Yes. For every Transformers, there will be a Wingspan
That's right, baby.
Adjacent game. But those are the 10 hottest games of the month.
Indeed.
Yeah, kind of an interesting list. A lot of stuff that feels maybe based on what people got at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But speaking of hot games, we're now going to talk about the games that everyone is playing. So the most,
truly hot.
The most played games. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like maybe the truest moniker of like a game that's hot is like what people are actually getting to the table or playing on Board Game Arena and stuff like that. So what do we got?
So this will be the 10 most played games of the month. So make sure to log your plays on BGG. You can kind of do that with
we use the Board Game Stats app, which you can port. So
you can connect your
BGG account to.
So sea salt and paper, always a staple here, has 8,870.
Well, so we're starting at 8,000.
Yeah.
Wow. So
yeah, I mean, hey, it's been dreary out there, you know. So people have been playing a lot of games.
Playing.
Number 9 is actually the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game, which is pretty darn cool with 9,150. So people buying it, a bunch of people have been playing it.
Nice.
4 Shuffle has 9,546. Nice. Trio has 9,778. That's crazy because that mostly, I'm guessing, is a lot of BGA, which is wild because I can't imagine playing something like Trio async.
I have tried playing. There's like Shipwreck Arcana. There's various games that are memory based on BGA, and I can't do it. There is a section on BGA where you can write down notes, and I just need to make use of that. By the time I get back to a tournament,
maybe we'll do that. Azul has 10,059. Wow. Wingspan has 10,220. Faraway has 13,612. Arc Nova has 14,832. Sky Team has 16,027, and Harmonies at number 1 has 17,551.
Oh, so Harmonies has shot up there.
Yeah, Harmonies is doing because it's been Sky Team for the last couple months because it won Spiele and stuff like that, and people have been playing it. Harmonies has been flying up, which is probably why it's been all over the hotness too.
Yeah, people are getting into it. Again, like as we talked about, you know, just before, it's just so appealing. It's just easy to play. It's quick.
Yeah.
Man, it's a fun game. Wow, those are some serious numbers. Those are some serious Midwest cold winter numbers right there. Everyone's just like, it sucks outside. I'm not going out there. I'm just going to be chilling on my computer or playing with my family or whatever it might be. And that's what winter is for. It's just for hibernating, and board game is basically hibernation adjacent.
That's right.
So those are the hottest games, the most played games. Let's go ahead and talk about a couple things that were on Board Game Geek this month on the website that caught our attention with some Murph Picks. All right, my Murph pick is from Cat McDoom, and this is just a post asking for people to show them their board game swag. What's a cool custom board game related, board game adjacent thing that they have? And people just kind of posted pictures of stuff. There's one of a phone cover that's Spirit Island style. There's like a cool Android Netrunner like poster. It looks kind of like retro and cool. People have gotten like glowing meeples and gifts from their significant others and friends and meeple earrings and all sorts of custom stuff that they've adorned their shelves with or wear and everything like that. And I think it's just a fun celebration of like nerddom. So if you have some cool board game swag, if you've made something for a board game, done something really kind of neat, go ahead and post it in that kind of list. It's really fun to see people in the comments talking about each other's stuff and saying, oh, that's so cool. I wish I could make that. How'd you do that? I just think it's a really kind of neat thing to talk about all the various accessories that people have done, made, created, or gotten for their board games.
My Murph pick is going to be this 3D printed cartographer set by Darn CZ. This is super, super cool. I believe there's a Thingiverse link down in the comments in this post, but I have talked about a couple times about 3D printing stuff. I really like 3D printing. I think it's really, really cool. And I love how much board game stuff there is for 3D printing, because again, we're all nerds, right? 3D printing people tend to be nerds, board gamers tend to be nerds, put those things together and you get a whole bunch of different stuff. There are tons of inserts and a whole bunch of things on Thingiverse and other places. It's really, really incredible. And I love seeing stuff like this cartographer's board, where this cartographer's board is 3D printed out to have little slots and then printed out a whole bunch of different little pieces that you can just slot in if you're not a fan of drawing or you just kind of want a 3D component to your game. I think it's really, really cool, a really cool way to do it. And if we get a 3D printer again, I might be making this one for ourselves because I really love cartographers. And I think this is a great, cool 3D printed thing to do. All right, so that is some Murph picks. At the end of the video, we always talk about our personal favorite games of the month. We had a good gaming. I had kind of a bit of a gaming vacation.
Yep.
You were playing some games. What was your best of the month, Mikey?
Okay, so the White Castle is in alpha on
You're
BoardGameGeek.
like 6 games right now, aren't you?
I'm like 6 games right now. I'm playing a lot of it. It's still working out some kinks and stuff, but it's working well so far. And this is my favorite game from 2023, and it's just so fun to play. It's a game where you're drafting a die and making use of actions, and you only have 9 turns in the game, 3 turns per round, and you want to get a lot done in what is relatively, a short period of time. But you have the ability to kind of chain together actions. You might take this one main action, and that's going to give you the ability to take another main action and play some warriors out. That's going to give you some resources that maybe set you up for the next turn. So it's all about trying to find the mega turn where you just do a ton of stuff, and that will just kind of never be, I think, not fun to try to find out, like, how do I maximize this time I have. So it's super fun. So glad it's on Board Game Arena. I've been playing a ton.
Yeah, indeed. My favorite is going to be, there's a lot of games I could choose, but I'm going to go ahead and choose Star Wars Rebellion, because this is kind of the biggest game that I've really, really been wanting to play, and still had never played. You'd played it once,
good.
But I got a chance to sit down and play it. I played as the Rebellion. It was super, super fun. We were hiding on Giannini the whole time. It was great. This is a game, this is kind of like Star Wars in a box, kind of like War of the Rings, Lord of the Rings in the box. This is Star Wars in the box. 2-player game. 1 player plays as the Rebellion, and they have hidden their base on one of the many planets, and they are basically trying to not get their base get destroyed. And then if you're the Empire, you're trying to find the base and then destroy basically all the ground troops on that planet so that you can take it over, and that's how you win. And the Rebellion kind of wins essentially by timing out the game.
You kind of outlast.
And it was really, really fun. It was really cool. And again, one of those games that's like, actually, when you kind of get into it, it's not that complicated. It's not that bad to learn. It's a very intimidating game, but it's actually not that bad. So if you want to give it a try, give it a shot. We won on literally the very, very, very last dice roll of the very last turn. I was able to win it, and it was a very close game. Man. It was a very, very epic game. It was very, very fun. So that was Star Wars Rebellion, my best of the month. It was very cool. Let us know down in the comments below your best of the month. Let us know what you've been playing, what you've been super, super into. There are tons of good games. New year, new us.
Boom, more games than ever before. So yeah, get those in the comments below, and of course, we will see you next month.